All right, so just in case the mixtape review stream goes away, which it probably should if I'm honest. It's up now, but there's a lot of licensed music in there, so it's probably gonna go away. YouTube's probably gonna make it go away. So here's gonna be the post mixtape review, uh, where we're actually gonna talk through the review and go through it. Part one. Why did I feel the need to play this game? I was pretty sure would not would not be something I would like. First of all, as you can sort of see, adventure games and story heavy games, those are things that I enjoy playing. And I saw a lot of tweets like this. As someone who doesn't like narrative driven adventures games, that it's not about fail states, choices or obstacles. Like I saw lots of tweets like this. And that's just wrong. This is the sort of game that should speak to me. I enjoyed Life is Strange. I grew up on the adventure, various quest adventure games, King's Quest, Police Quest, Heroes Quest that was Quest for Glory after Heroes Quest realized they couldn't use that name. Life is Strange. I unironically like Gone Home. I am your target for this. I've played through, I think, almost all of the Siberia games now. The Longest Journey, as well as the sequels to The Longest Journey, which, uh, if I keep hearing rumors, there might be another one. So please do that. I would like for that to be concluded. But this is what a lot of people were saying. And I went and I looked, and a lot of the people I saw doing the reviews that didn't like it are very much gameplay first sort of people. And I was like, okay, that's fair. Someone who is looking for gameplay first, they tend to dislike the visual novel, walking simulator style games. But that's not me. I do like gameplay. I've played Wrath of the Righteous, Kingmaker, CRPGs of all sorts, so I do enjoy deep gameplay style games. But I also enjoy very simple things like any of the Phoenix Wright games. So this is something that should appeal to me, right? It's narrative. We're supposed to have really strong characters. Note I said supposed to. So this is what should appeal to me. It should be a nice, fun adventure game. And then the next sort of tweets that got me wanting to do this are these, is that they're not ready for games that are simply experiences. You want to grab shotguns and go on a shooting spree. Again, I see this and I'm like, well, that's not me. I am not this sort of player that they are worried about is going to downvote dislike Mixtape. I'm someone who should like Mixtape. So we went through that, and then I saw these sorts of reviews, which I agree with, by the way. I agree with Christina's view here that this scene where there's no input that you give, it just sort of happens. I agree with this. We should have That should have been a fun set piece where you're on a timer, you're trying to do this run to get there before Officer Marino gets there and breaks up the drinking in front of the Heaven 11, which is you know a, it should be a great scene, but it's not because there are no stakes. The music wants us to feel like there's stakes. The way it's shot, the way that Stacy Rockford is running, it all feels like there should be stakes, but there isn't. And this is emblematic of the whole game, and I'll get into that when I start talking about other things. But this is the good sort of criticism of Mixtape that we should be seeing more of. Then there's the bad sort of criticism of Mixtape, which is what George Alexopoulos has here, where he mentions that he's responding to this, where people are calling it woke. And I played through Mixtape, and I didn't feel like we ever got sucker punched with it being woke, right? Like there was no there was none of the hallmarks that you would get out of something where you would, you know, what I think in the early 2000s or 2010s people would call like the like like a Hollywood sucker punch, where all of a sudden there was just this left-wing political jab out of nowhere. There was none of that. And so I want to come in and try and view this from, as someone who has played the game. Do I have my Steam review here? Yes. Yes, I do. I have my Steam review here, which I'll link in the comments. So I'm coming at it from someone who is a fan of the genre, likes these sort of games, and so I should be very, very positive towards Mixtape. Let's just cut to anywhere in the playthrough that we can just have a nice background here while I pull up my notes so I can go through what I thought. Oh, that's interesting. Why did the picture go away? Well, I just finished it maybe an hour ago and spent some time looking on Twitter to get those couple of posts to help put this in context. So, as of the time I completed the game, the completed the game achievement was about 36%. Sorry. 36% of Steam owners. So, my theme for this review is what I sort of hinted at earlier, where I was saying that scene Christina was pointing to was supposed to feel like this, supposed to do this. The game feels unearned. It didn't earn these 10 out of 10s that it's getting, and nearly all of the emotional beats, I'd say for the whole game, feel unearned. But it's most noticeable in that first hour and a half to 2 hours, mattering how slow you're playing, that the game is like, feel this, feel that. It's throwing these musical cues at you, but the characters have not gotten you to where that catharsis is earned. You haven't made a decision. You haven't had a discussion. You haven't done anything where these big moments feel earned. The scene where Cassandra is at bat and you're hitting home runs left and right. We haven't felt any of this build up. We're just, hey, here you go. Here's this emotional outlet. And it isn't built up to, we haven't earned it. The game wants you to feel a certain way, uses the music to get you there, and I don't feel it's been earned. I do admit there are two scenes that I legitimately like. One actually got a laugh out of me, which is the first scene after they make the slushies with Jenny Goodspeed, and Stacy tries to make nice, and then Jenny says something that's, she doesn't really like music or whatever, and that Stacy is basically like, she's dead to me, and now hates this girl. She gets more reasons to hate her later, but this is like her irrational hatred of Jenny Goodspeed plays really well in that scene, and it's a good scene. The exploring the dinosaur park was a good scene. It could have used some actual puzzle or gameplay elements, but that's not what Mixtape is going for. It doesn't want to ever slow you down from getting from their set piece to set piece. So I think we should do more discussing why the game is bad and less trying to go over, is it woke, is it not woke, is it political or not political? It's a game. It may or may not be political. I didn't feel this was particularly political, but it's still a bad game. It's a 2 to 3 hour game where there are long, empty portions where they want you to just enjoy the music, which I guess is fine, but when you've got a 2 to 3 hour game, you really need to keep better pacing. There are a lot of very short games, 6 to 10 hours, where the pacing is really good. But here, all of those running scenes and flying scenes that are in utter silence except for the music, we should have been having our characters talk. We should have been maybe doing this over a flashback instead, doing more scenes where Cassandra, Slater, and Stacy here are building their relationship, because we build too slow for all of the payoff they want us to get. Even that final payoff where you let go at the very end, it was I don't know. It just didn't feel the same as in a lot of other games where you're separating from your friends or doing things like this or any of the, or I guess if we want to compare it to Life is Strange, it's not nearly the same emotional impact as whether you tear up the photo at the end or not. So that's what I mean by I just don't feel like we earn any of this. And part of that is because you never really get invested in Stacy's adventure, if we're going to call it an adventure, as you do with other visual novel protagonists. In Life is Strange, you feel like you're making decisions, you're trying to help her get to what she's going to do with Chloe in the end. That's great. In Siberia, even though it's also on a fairly, well, actually, it and The Longest Journey are on completely linear paths. There is no deviation, just like there's no deviation here in Mixtape. You're solving problems for them. You're realizing, oh, if I go and I put the Coke in the shaker, it'll shake it up and then it'll spray the guy and I can get by. You're helping them solve these problems, just like you were helping like King Graham find the three treasures and become king. You're doing things where you're inhabiting who these characters are and you're living their life. Here, with this abstraction of Stacy just doesn't really connect. And now, again, we will make this caveat that I am a 40-something-year-old man, and maybe I'm just not ever going to really be able to connect with a teenage girl at this stage in my life. I mean, except for the fact that I really like The Longest Journey and Life is Strange. So, and Siberia. So, clearly I can connect with a young 20-something or teenage girl in their story. I can relate to them, I can empathize with them. So, I don't know why it didn't work with Stacy. And I think it's just because as a game, I was expecting more of a give and take between the two of us as the player and the protagonist. But that just wasn't what was here. There is one beat that was almost earned, but it was undermined because of all of the other problems with the game. And it does come at the end when Cass and her dad come to an understanding. And I feel like this could have been if we had spent more time with Officer Marino. And if what we needed a scene with Cass's dad where he was not wearing the uniform and he was more relatable, and maybe he said something about music that Stacy almost connected with but didn't because they didn't have a lot of time together. We have that scene where he arrests her, which is a good scene because it mirrors back to when Cass gets in trouble for TPing the principal's house. It's a good scene. A little weird when you think about it because all three of the girls could have gotten away, but whatever. It works as a scene. But we needed a scene where Officer Marino is dad, Mr. Marino, and he's still a hard ass, but he's more relatable. He's more the guy we see at the end after talking music and is like, we can come to an understanding. We needed that at the beginning so that swerve doesn't feel out of left field. Though, if you've played the game, when Stacy quotes music to him, everyone knew he was going to quote it back, right? That was the trope. We all saw it coming. It wasn't a shocking swerve, but we knew it because the game has been trope after trope after trope. So we knew, oh, that's what this beat here is there's going to be this moment where there's this connection here. But we needed a scene where that was set up so that the payoff felt earned. Because we got the payoff where, oh, he's not just Officer Marino. And the setup needed to be there so that payoff doesn't come out of left field. The setup, I think they think they're putting it there when he's like, when I have the badge, it's Officer Marino. But I picked up on it, maybe, but I don't think it was intended that way. I don't know. But that brings me to, hopefully now that we've talked about this, it's clear I've played the game. This is the sort of game I should like. I know the genre. I have credibility here. Hopefully that all works. Oh look, it shows you that I've been watching Red Dwarf clips. Anyway, so Unearned is my theme of the review here. 1010 is an obscene score for Mixtape. Even if you love the genre, it's an obscene score. It's reminiscent of like Great Inflation at Schools, I think I said elsewhere. We talked about that. We talked about that. It's a 3-hour game and there's filler. Why is there filler in my 3-hour game? 3 hours should be tight, quick moving, and we should have the story being propelled forward. But there's so many times where the game is like, stop, look at this music we have to show you. And that's fine, but it doesn't do anything to me. You can screw up the skating or the skating segments, but I don't know if that is enough to get people to say, oh, so there is a fail state. I don't think games need fail states. Some of the Sierra games don't, or some puzzle games don't have them. I don't think, it's been a long time since I've done The Longest Journey, but I think even if you keep doing things wrong, it'll eventually reach a point where like you won't lose and you'll have run out of the funny ways that that you fail in The Longest Journey. But you usually fail forward. You're like, oh, that didn't work. I need to try something else. It's not like where if you eat the pie, then you can't throw it at the Yeti in King's Quest V, where, you know, there are clear fail states, but other games don't have them, and I think that's fine. The problem is that Mixtape doesn't really do anything with the times you're in control. I don't think the writing is what you expect from a game that is called Mixtape. It's overwrought. It's trying to be high-minded and very, very quick-witted, and those parts I like the least, where we're talking to the camera about this is the song we're about to play for you, feel something. I didn't like that. The inner team dialogue was okay. It wasn't anything great. It lacked the charm of Life is Strange because they tried to be a little more real, a little more fluid, whereas Life is Strange was like, we don't know how teenagers talk, let's just make it up. And I like that. I like that charm from Life is Strange. So there we go. This is coming in at under 20 minutes, and I think I've talked about everything I wanted to say. I'd recommend almost any other story game you've heard me mention here over Mixtape. And I think where Mixtape failed for me was it thought the music it was bringing to the table was going to have a bigger effect than I think it did. But clearly the music set pieces worked for IGN and all of the people giving it 10s out of 10s. So maybe I'm just a music hater. I don't know. But that's my Mixtape review that is hopefully going to stay up since there won't be any copyrighted music in case the full video goes down, which if it does, that's fair. There's a lot of licensed music in there. So ultimately, I'm in the Mixtape is bad camp, but I don't think it's a 1 out of 10. I think it's like a 2 to 3 out of 10. You could stretch it to a 4 if you care very little about there being a game in your game. If you're here for an experience, you could maybe stretch it to a 4. But I think a 2 to a 3 is fair. And people giving it 9s and 10s, I don't know. I don't know what they're doing. But there we go. Mixtape is bad. It earned its score. The one thing I think it earned, except for that one laugh with the Jenny Goodspeed scene.